Hi Lemon, I'm going to see if I can create a gun from start to finish, and then I'll upload this. I've not actually done this in the first person shooter example before, so this might be a bit long-winded. I'm probably not going to do any editing, so you'll see all my mistakes as well. I've imported that military weapons dark pack again, so I'm going to be using that, but the setup would be the same for any meshes or anything you want to use. I'm just stealing a couple of assets from there. That shouldn't make much difference. So I'll start off, I'll make a folder for everything I'm doing. And I'm going to start with the master weapon. So as before, it's an actor. Master gun, sorry, not master weapon. And I know I'm going to need a few other things, so I'm going to get a struct. And I'm going to use an interface as well. I'll introduce you to interfaces and how they work. So we'll go into the struct first. And what should we put in here? Put range. And I'll have that as an integer. You can have an integer or a float, but realistically for the range, you're not going to want like 1000.6 or anything like that. It's not going to make any difference, so I'll just have it as an integer for now. Mesh. And this will be a skeletal mesh for my example. That might be all we need for now. I'll leave it as that. We can always come back and add some more to it whenever we like. So, master gun. I am going to add that variable. And make it visible. And then add a skeletal mesh component. And construction script. It's all what I done last time, so nothing different here. So get that variable breaker and get the skeletal mesh. And we're going to set the skeletal mesh asset. Now what I like to do here is build a couple of children just to put in the world, just to make sure that is working, which I'm confident it is. Create child blueprint, and we'll do gun 1, duplicate, gun 2. Open these up and close them again. So it's the second time I've asked they open up like this. And this is all we're going to need. So I'll put assault rifle as the first one. Range, put 5,000 to see where that goes. And the second gun, we'll do shotgun. And range 2,000. I think those ranges are a bit short for guns, but they should show us the exact difference with those. So. Right, so if we drag those into our world, it should show us the mesh. There we go. So with the master weapons, never use the master weapon to pick up or shoot or anything. That master weapon should just be sitting in your content drawer with all the code in. It should only ever be the child weapons that actually enter the game world. The master weapon, you're not going to set any variables in there. All the variables are just going to be set in the children, like I just did with these meshes and the range. And then the master weapon is going to take that information and do something with it. So it's already done the meshes. And now we're going to let it do something with the range as well. Actually, to start with, let's put a collision. This sphere collision. Viewport. Let's make that a bit bigger. I'm going to use this to pick up the weapon. I do it slightly different on my project. I use a line trace to pick up things, but this is identical, effectively. So let's look on components, hit, begin overlap. Which one should we use? Let's do begin overlap. Why is it lagging out if I just crash this? No, did appear. Alright, so what do we want to do when this overlaps? We want to send a message to the other actor to say, pick me up. And what is the other actor going to do? To avoid hard references, this is where we're going to use an interface. So that interface we created, gun interface, we'll open that up. If you've never used one before, there's not a lot you can do within the actual interface itself. All this does, it creates events and functions for you. And you use those events and functions however you want. So up here on the top right, it'll already create one function for you. So we'll call that pickup. And we're going to add a couple more function and rename you start shoot. I'm not going to do any reloading and things like that in this, but you probably want a reload function in here as well. I'm going to do end shoot. In the start shoot, I noticed in yours you've had a hard reference to your character, and you've got the camera and everything from the character to set up your line trace. We can do that without having any hard references to your character within the gun. So by doing this this interface way on the start shoot, we can add an input, and we'll add a vector input, and we'll put aim location, and let's add another vector input, and we'll call it forward vector. So that all that information that you get from your camera within your weapon, we can just actually send to the weapon. So then if you use that weapon with something else, if it's an enemy using it which hasn't got a camera to use for these locations, you can figure out another way to send these vectors to it so it can do the line trace. And I'll show you exactly how that's going to work in a second. Right, so that's everything we need in the interface for now. We need to tell things that it can use this interface. They don't automatically know it exists. So in the master gun, class settings, in interfaces, we add one. So we'll look for gun interface. And now it's got that gun interface. So if we select this other actor and type in pickup, we've got the pickup message that we've just created in our interface. So yeah, it's going to send, once we overlap that sphere, it's going to send a message to whatever actor's overlapping it saying pick me up. Now we need to figure out what we're going to do when we actually do pick it up. So in the first person player, we need to tell the player that it can use that interface as well, just the same as the gun. So class settings, and look for the gun interface again. Compile, and now we want the event pickup. Well, you got a warning. Don't know what that warning is. Let's have a look. Add event, gun interface pickup. Right, this event pickup, I think that. I don't know. What's this one doing? Conflicting, blah blah blah. Was replaced as a custom event. So it looks like the first person character has an event called pickup somewhere, or something has an event called pickup. To save finding that custom event that's called pickup, let's change this to pick me up and see if that conflicts with anything. It shouldn't. And then master gun, yeah, still got pick me up. So right, we've changed the name of that to hopefully get rid of that conflict. Event pick me up. Yes, that works perfect. So what happens when we pick it up? Well, I think we need a bit more information on what we're picking up. So let's go back into our interface and add an input. And I think we're just going to add an actor object reference. We don't need to know that it's a master weapon at the moment, I don't think, but we can always come back and change it if we do. But a generic actor reference will work. So we'll just put actor. Compile that in the master gun. Now we've got this actor pin. So we can pull that out and do a reference to self. Because we're just sending to the actor that's overlapping this message to say pick me up, and this is me. So we now have a reference to this gun we're picking up. Like I say, you could have this as a master weapon reference instead, and self would work just perfectly fine. So I want to test this first. Let's just do destroy actor. I test so many little things as I go along, just every little step, just to make sure it's working. So let's have a look. Oh, I'm lagging. That's right, to cut away there. I was having some issues, not to restart. But let's test these. Right, yeah, they get destroyed. They're gone. So we know that we're sending messages backwards and forth with that interface. So let's get rid of this destroy actor. That was just a test. So we've got the actor. Let's attach it to something. So attach actor to component. So the actor is the gun that we want to attach to, and the component is going to be our mesh. I'll plug that in, and we'll snap target, snap to target, snap to target, and weld. Yep. I presume the mesh has got a socket we can attach things to. Let's have a look at the first person mesh. So I've never actually done this with the first person thing, so grip points. That's going to be it, isn't it? Right, so let's attach one of my things to this grip point. Let's see what sort of weird angle it's at. It usually is. So attach preview asset, assault rifle. Yep, that's all sorts of strange angles. Right, so I'm just going to select a preview asset, which is, oh, actually, that's not bad. So that's the rifle idle. You might not have to do this with yours. It depends on what orientation the mesh has been imported in as. But give it a little adjustment, see what happens. But overall, I'm happy for that, for this test anyway. So we need to, grip point is where we want to add it to. Can I copy name? No, just remember that. Grip point. So back in our first person, we're going to put grip point in there. Compile, and let's see if that works. Lag again. Hopefully it stopped lagging there. So, no, it doesn't actually stick to our mesh. I think there's a couple of meshes though. I think I've got the wrong one. Let's drag out first person mesh. Give that a try. Yeah, that looks like it's sticking to our hand now. It's just that we haven't got that animation anymore, the one where he's holding the gun in front of him. So you can see it's waving around somewhere. I don't know where his arms actually are. So now we need to set it for that animation. Right, I'll have a look at how to do this. So we need to set its state to like a holding a gun sort of state, and I think if we look in the weapon component that they were using, it's going to be in here somewhere, because this is, he picks up this, and this is when he changes his state on the example. So that's adding the components. It's this, right? So I'm just going to copy and paste this into our character, and it stops us needing this component then, I think. So copy first person character. Alright, there's a few problems. First person character is us, so we don't need that. And that has rifle is there. So I'm going to set that, delete you. Set that to true. And I haven't looked into this, but I presume that that changes the animation blueprint. It lets it know that it's changing to like has a rifle sort of state. I don't know if you've already got this set up if you need to do this, but for this example, this is how I'm going to do it. Hopefully it works. We'll see. So let's run over a weapon. I don't know why I'm getting all this lag. Yeah, I've got a bit of an issue at the moment with the frame rates. I don't know what's going on. Sometimes it's jittery, sometimes it's not. But it's working now. So if we run over this assault rifle, yep, it picks it up and goes into I have a rifle sort of stance. What's going to happen with the shotgun? Yeah, you can see the shotgun just got added to that. So we've got two guns at the same time here. We can do something about that. Right, so back in our first person character, we're picking up the gun. We've got a reference to it. I think we should save this reference. So if we right click and promote to variable, and we'll set that first. We can join that into there. It's the same thing. Let's call it equipped weapon. It's not quite spot right. So now we're picking up the weapon. We know what weapon we're holding. It's there. We're attaching it to ourselves. We're setting ourselves in a has rifle stance. Before we do any of this, what we can do, it stops us picking up two weapons at the same time. If we get equipped weapon and do is valid, and plug that in, and plug the is not valid into there. So what this will do, it will check if this variable set, do we have a weapon equipped currently? And if we don't, then we can go and equip it. If we do, then what we can do is drop this current weapon if we want, and then pick up the new weapon. Or have both weapons and select between them in some sort of way. I'm not going to be going too much into detail on that. I'm just going to get you picking up the weapon and pulling the trigger for now. So we've got the weapon in our hands, we've got a reference to it. So let's have a look in the weapon component, because I want this. Right, if I just type in shoot in the first person, it should come up with this. There it is, input, shoot. That's the one. So when we shoot, we're going to send a message to the equipped weapon. And we're going to start shoot. So now we know what weapon we're holding. We can send this interface message to it. And we can send some information so we know where and how to do that line trace. So let's get our camera and get a forward vector. Plug you in. get location, and plug you in. So that's all we really should be doing in regards to sending the start shoot message. There really shouldn't be much more code than that in your player blueprint. You can handle everything in the master weapon. So master gun, if we do event start shoot, and we want a line trace. Line trace by channel. Start is going to be that, and the end. Let's do some things with this. I'm trying to think how to do a basic line trace now. Let's draw debug persistent. No, not persistent, for duration. So at the end we want the forward vector, which we've got, and we want to multiply that by our range. So get our gun struct, break it, and we've got our range. Then we can add the aim location to it, plug it in there. Is that it? Let's give that a try. So one other thing, in first person character, where we've got this is valid, let's just do a print string just to make sure this is working here. And already holding a weapon. So let's try these out. In theory, they should. Yeah, already holding a weapon is popping up in the left hand side. If I pull the trigger, we get a line trace. So that's all single shot. I don't know how you've got your fully auto setup, but I can do a quick and dirty one now if you like. Yeah, we will. So let's do some things. Struct. No, let's create that enumerator. So blueprints, enumerator, and I'll do fire mode. Now I'm going to do a fully auto on the event tick, which isn't advised because that can be frame rate dependent then, but it's just a quick and easy way to do it. Single shot. And fully auto. Save, and then back into the struct again. Let's get that enumerator. Save. One thing about structs as well, if you make any changes in there, always go to the highest blueprint that has this struct in and compile it. So if you're making changes in here and then go into one of the child blueprints and trying to access it, you won't actually see it. You'll have to go back into your master gun because that's where that struct exists, and then compile the gun, and then it'll appear. Got fire mode. So we're going to select on fire mode. So before all this happens, drag you over here. I'm not being too neat on this. We don't want to select, we want to switch on fire mode, don't we? Switch on fire mode. Single shot. We do that. And then fully auto. We want some more info here, don't we? Your fire rate. Back into our struct. Add a variable. Fire rate, and we don't want a name on, let's do a float. Yeah, like I said, this is going to be a quick and dirty example of how to do this. So let's grab you and duplicate it, and I'm going to put a delay fire rate can go into that delay. So this fire rate effectively, the weird way that I'm setting it up, if I set that fire rate to 0.5, it will shoot a line trace every 0.5 seconds. There is much better ways to do it. I just want to really introduce you to how this enumerator works. You do your fully auto however you coded it in the past, or look for some tutorials, because doing it with a delay, and I'm going to be doing it with the event tick as well, probably isn't the best way to do it. So after every X amount of seconds or milliseconds or whatever we want to put in there, it's going to fire a line trace for us. And if we plug in our aim location and our vector and our range again, then that'll fire off every so many seconds, as long as this input is constant. So that's where we're going to go to the player now and do something bad with the event tick. So here we are. Let's get the event tick. So I'm going to use a gate. I don't know if you've used one before, but it's a nice way of flow control. We don't want a multi-gate. Let's just normal gate. So when this gate is open, we're going to open it with this. Are we? We're going to open it with that. Get rid of triggered. When this gate is open, the event tick is going to be allowed to pass through. When it's closed, when we stop pressing that button, the event tick will stop going through. So it will constantly fire this start shoot to our equipped weapon, as long as we've got our trigger held down. As soon as we take our finger off the trigger, it's going to close this gate and nothing passes through then. And then based on whatever happens on the weapon, what's our master weapon? So if it's single shot, it will constantly fire this. So we need to put a do once in between. And yeah, let's put a do once there. And that's why we've got the event end shoot. Once we've took our finger off the trigger, it can reset this do once then. Actually, we don't want the do once there. That's in the wrong place, isn't it? Sorry. Let's move that. Do once needs to go after the single shot, doesn't it? So, right. So yeah, if it's on a single shotgun, it's going to come up here and do this once, and then we let go of the trigger. It resets this, so then we can do it once again. If it's on a fully auto, it's going to delay by whatever amount we put in the fire rate, and it's just going to fire these line traces off every time that delay ticks down. In theory. First person again. So we want to fire off the end shoot as well, don't we? So on completed, we want to. Is it called end shoot or stop shoot? Event end shoot. Okay. So, let's get our equipped weapon. I'll do end shoot. Right. In theory, that's going to work. Let's test it. So I'm holding down the trigger and it's only shooting one. Let go, and it shoots another. Let go, shoots another. Now, if we set one of these over here to fully auto and set the fire rate to 0.2, we can test that out. And It's not doing a hell of a lot now. Okay. I don't know what it's doing. Right, let's debug this. So we've got fully auto mode. First I want to check that input. So if we go to, I didn't set up these inputs, so I'm not sure how they're set up. So look at the shoot. Look at the triggers. So we've got pressed, but we don't have a released trigger. So I don't think it's telling our blueprints when we've taken our finger off the trigger. So let's add another array element there. And we'll put released. Let's save that. See if that makes any difference. Still got something wrong, haven't I? This is the single shot. That works perfectly fine. But as soon as we get to the fully auto one, it goes a bit janky, doesn't it? There's a problem with our master. Start by tidying up these wires, can't we? Right, I'll pause and do that. So I've had a little tidy around, not changed any code at all, but I've noticed we didn't put the start location on this line trace. So let's get that from the little node here, shall we? Yeah. Okay, let's test out that fully auto one now. There we go. Just holding down and it's firing. So after the shooting, you can put sounds, save those in the master as well. And like I say, all this code is in one blueprint. It's all in the master. These two guns that are on the floor here, well, the one that's on the floor and one I'm holding, all we've done is change the variables. I've just told this one that it's a fully auto gun. I've told that one it's a single shot. The ranges are slightly different. So everything you want to be individual to each gun, put in that struct and get your master to do something with it. And then never drag that master into the level, just drag the children into the level and mess around with their variables. You can click on the ones in the level and mess around here, or you can where are they? You can open them here and do it there. Right now though, we've got no way of selecting between two weapons, so I won't go into that just yet. If you want to have a look at this video and take whatever useful parts you find in it, and then maybe another time I can go through how to select weapons or something, or swap weapons, drop weapons, things like that. Right, hope this was helpful. Let me know what you think. All right, bye.